The street is silent, but the air feels heavy, like a storm is about to break. You are 12 years old. In your hand is a cheap burner phone, your lifeline and your shackles. They call you a Campanilla, a little bell. You don't pull triggers and you don't move bricks. You just watch. You are the peripheral vision of a multi-billion-dollar empire, and if you blink at the wrong time, the empire falls, and you fall with it. This is the first rung of a ladder made of glass and gold. Most people see the headlines of kingpins and cartel bosses, but they never see the machinery. They don't see the 8 distinct levels of the Colombian underworld. A corporate ladder where the HR department carries an AR-15 and a promotion usually means someone else had to die. To understand the Colombian cartel, you have to stop looking at it as a gang and start looking at it as a franchise. Level 1 is the entry-level internship from hell. You're making more in a week than your mother makes in a month scrubbing floors, but the price is your childhood. You stand on the corner, eyes scanning for the specific green of a police uniform or the dull gray of a military truck. Your heart hammers against your ribs every time a car slows down. You aren't just a lookout, you're a human tripwire. If the police raid the house behind you and you didn't press that call button 30 seconds early, you don't just lose your job, you lose everything. But survival breeds ambition. If you don't run, if you don't blink, you move to level 2, the moolah. Now, the stakes aren't just a phone call, the stakes are physical. You're 15 and your backpack doesn't hold textbooks. It holds a kilo of white gold wrapped in plastic and grease to fool the dogs. You walk through checkpoints with a rehearsed boredom, praying the soldier doesn't see the sweat on your upper lip. You're just a kid, and that's your greatest weapon. You see the money, you see the respect, and suddenly, the warnings from your cousins in juvenile detention sound like white noise. You've just saved a life by spotting a rival hit squad. You've proven you're not just a pair of eyes, you're an asset. By level 3, the asset becomes a tool. You are a Sicario. At 17, you've crossed a line you can never uncross. The first time, your hands shook so hard, you nearly dropped the weapon. By the third time, you felt nothing but the wind on your face as the motorcycle sped away. You are the enforcement. You don't ask why a man in a white shirt needs to disappear. You just wait for him to leave the bodega. You tell your mother you have a job in construction. In a way, it's true. You're building her a house out of the ghosts of the people you've erased. Then comes the pivot. If you have the brain to match the coldness in your chest, you become a plaza boss. Level 4. You aren't the one on the bike anymore. You're the one holding the map. You manage the points. You balance the books. You decide who gets a mercy extension on their debt and who becomes an example. You learn that power isn't just about violence, it's about logistics. You pay the local cops their weekly envelope. You keep the peace so the business can grow. But the higher you climb, the thinner the air gets. You're now a manager in a company where the board of directors is level 5, the operators. Level 5 is where the drug dealer image dies and the businessman is born. You move millions through shell companies, turning blood-stained pesos into clean digital dollars. The banks love you, the lawyers work for you. You're indispensable until you're a liability. This leads to the regional chiefs of level 6 and the lieutenants of level 7. At this height, you no longer walk the streets. You live in a gilded cage, a compound with 20-foot walls and former Special Forces soldiers guarding your breakfast. You have the world at your fingertips, but you can't go to a grocery store without a 10-car convoy. You've traded your freedom for a seat at the table. Finally, there is level 8, the boss, the Patrón. You are no longer a man, you are a myth. You run a shadow state that rivals the GDP of small nations. You've seen everyone before you, Escobar, Rodriguez Orejuela, Carlos Lehder, all end the same way, dead or in a 6x9 cell in ADX Florence. You tell yourself you're smarter. You tell yourself your exit plan is perfect. But as you sit in your silent compound, watching the news of another successful government raid that barely touched 1% of your bottom line, you realize the truth. The ladder doesn't have a top platform. It just keeps going until it breaks. You started as a kid on a corner with a phone and you ended as a king in a fortress. But in this game, the only way to stay on top is to never stop looking over your shoulder. If you found this deep dive into the cartel hierarchy fascinating, hit that like button. History isn't just dates and treaties, it's the stories of the people who lived in the shadows. What historical underworld should we map out next? Let us know in the comments below.